business
Right.
operation, the new thing, the new part we're talking about here is it equal to And-1? Like, is BBB equal to And-1? What do you like? That is something you sent to me, and I was like thinking about that. But tell me.
Okay, so let me break down And-1. Like, let me just give a very short history for And-1 because I don't think people realize how big And-1 was. Because I've heard people scoff when this is brought up, like Triple B fans, and I'm like, it's not a diss. Now, I think Triple B has the potential to be bigger and better because there's some more unique things. But let me just give a brief history on And-1. Okay, so And-1, they started off at just selling T-shirts. Okay? They were a trash-talking T-shirt business, and that was their first product. And what a lot of people don't know is And-1 was not started by, like, basketball players. It was started by 3 white dudes that went to, like, I think the University of Pennsylvania or something like that. Okay? And then when they really blew up, or like the first jumping off point was they made, this mixtape that they were selling at like tennis shoe stores like Foot Locker, Foot Action, Champs, whatever. They were selling this And-1, remember the And-1 Volume 1 all the way up to like Volume 5. Okay. So that was the jumping off point. And they also, that first year they came out, they had already signed an NBA rookie point guard, Stephon Marbury, right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So they had an NBA player. They had a guy in the league wearing their shoes. They had the T-shirts, and then they had this very unique street ball thing going on with their mixtape. Okay?
Yep.
And they had a very grassroots type of appeal because And-1 would go to these local parks and just take over. When I was a kid, I played at a lot of different basketball courts, a lot of different parks. But I remember one day, and this is before Twitter and Facebook and MySpace and all this stuff, right? So I remember one day I was at the park. I was at Del Air Park, had just playing on the basketball court. And then, like, hundreds of people just started descending on the park, and I couldn't understand what was going on. And And-1 just showed up. Wow. And that was my introduction to And-1. Like, that's how it used to be. Like, they would do stuff like that, and it was just like something that nobody had ever really seen before, except for like maybe in New York and Chicago. But like they were to Seattle, Washington. They went to Portland, Oregon. They went to They went everywhere. And
yeah,
so
you told me that they sold their
to
shoes for like $200.
You know what I mean?
200. Yeah, you told me that they sold their company for about $200 million. Who was the people who they sold it to?
$250 million, and it was basically like $250 million they sold it for. It was a company called like American Sports Apparel, something bland like that. And because And-1's still around and they're selling stuff in like Walmart and Target, I believe. But like for real cheap, and it's not really the brand because at the And-1 at its height, think about who they had, who was in And-1. Like, first of all, Vince Carter's legendary dunk contest, he did those in And-1 shoes. Okay? So they had Vince Carter, Stephon Marbury, Kevin Garnett. They also had this big traveling basketball league, And-1 team, remember? And all of their street ballers had, a certain level of fame as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, they had a show on MTV. I think later it got moved to ESPN or something like that. So they had a lot of content that you could chew up, and it was very unique. And at their height, they were the second largest, apparel brand or whatever you want to call it in the United States. Like Nike was number 1, And-1 was number 2. Sports apparel.
Now here's my opinion on BBB. It's nowhere. It's way better than And-1, and I'll give you the reasons. Well, I don't know if the game's going to be better. But I know the promoting's already to that point where it's already going to be better. We have to think, the Ball Family reality show gets over 1 million views in like 4 days on average. Most shows, like I've been hearing this from producers and stuff, say they'd be happy to get 50,000 over 30 minutes to people to watch their shows. The only people who get like big, over millions of people is Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, these big,
right.
shows. These big shows. So Ball in the Family is already getting the same amount of views as these big producing shows over time. So when you think about that, this isn't some And-1. They're getting more views than And-1 would have probably gotten. They have the internet on their side. They have Facebook on their side. They already rented out these stadiums, like 10,000, that could fit 10,000 people. They can call Lonzo, say, hey, open up a pop-up shop. You have thousands of people already showing up there. So LaMelo showing up there and being a part of the league already brings big monetary value to that league. And these kids will get way more exposure. And if they play up to par, the brand will be successful. And you could see them making 4 times what And-1 was making.
Yeah, I believe that. But I'm just saying, so it's Triple B And-1. No, it's not. For number one. We know who LeVar is. We know who Allen is. He doesn't even talk much, but we know who he is. I still don't know who, all that information I gave you about And-1, I still don't know who those 3 white dudes are. I don't know anything about them. They walked away with $250 million, and I still don't know who they are. We know who LeVar is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just the fact that you have a CEO that can go viral by himself. You know what I mean? Like that is, like people. Phil Knight. I know who Phil Knight is. I know he owns Nike. But I'll be honest with you. If dude walked into a room, I don't think I would recognize him right away. Like I kind of know what he looks like, but if he walked into the room, I'd just be like, you know what I mean? Like I don't think I would just be like, oh, who's this guy? You know what I mean? Like, I know who this guy is or whatever.
Or you wouldn't really care even if
that
he
would be the
up.
case. Yeah, but I mean, LeVar walks into a room, he's immediately recognizable. So that off the rip, that's unique, right?
He went
Number
to Poland
2,
already was recognized.
Right. That's what I mean. World-renowned, global brand. Number 2, they're a global brand. Like, And-1 never went overseas, man. And-1 was mostly, I'm sure people overseas know about And-1, but And-1 mostly stayed in the United States. They never really went and expanded overseas like that. Triple B's basically been around a year, and they've already created a footprint in Europe and, I mean, not for the right reasons, but they have a footprint in China too. You know what I mean? Like, so, they're an international brand. So it's like, and I remember, that interview LeVar did with Vitotis, like an exit interview he did, that really long one?
Yeah, I've seen that. Mm-hmm.
During that interview, he said, look, our goal, he just broke it down from a numbers perspective, like what their goals are, like how he plans for his company to make money. And he's saying, like, he took LiAngelo, for example, right? And he said, look, LiAngelo, let's say he just needs to sell about 250,000 shoes, okay? Now, he said it might take him 10 years to sell 250,000 shoes, but I think that he can do it. And with how our price margins are set up, that would equal, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And he said it's not going to be hard because our brand is set up with a global approach. He's all like, if you're only looking for 1 million fans, or 200,000 people to buy your product in the United States, it's going to be kind of difficult. But he's like, we're looking for 200,000 people around the world to buy those shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's where I'm like, that's why them going over there to Vitotis and coming back with the water situation and coming back with branding opportunities and all of this type of stuff, it's like, that's why I feel like they got a real opportunity to, just be way bigger because they're a global brand and they have a CEO that can create, marketing, just massive marketing situations with no overhead. You know what I mean? Like just by the words of his mouth, he can create these massive, marketing situations. You know what I mean? Just like stuff just goes viral so quickly with this guy. And I kind of marvel at that, like that he can just say something and it goes viral.
I feel like the reason people don't respect when you put BB and And-1 together is because And-1 became mostly a street ball game. So it was, I guess because recruiting, you could see the best talent. It was hard to find the best talent in street ball. Rules are different a little bit. In a very organized sport, you could play internationally. You can expand your brand to a wider array of customers, like you said. So it's going to be easier if they get the right development. That's the trainers and all that. So I hope LeVar's ego doesn't run in trying to be, I'm the trainer, I know how to get these kids moving, and he finds the best, because that is the only thing I see the problem with.
I would love for that to happen.